Do a simple little video here on changing out stock Glock sights for some Ameriglo aftermarket better all steel night sights. So what's first? We got to clear that gun out. We're going to lock the slide back, do a little visual and physical inspection, then we're going to break this Glock apart. So we're going to just set that aside there. Got the spring and barrel, and that's as far down as we need to break this for what we're going to do. So we've got two things that we've got to do to make this happen. The front sight's got a small nut, and there are specialty wrenches for taking that apart. It's a 3/16 nut, and I'm gonna just very simply back that little sucker out. And I like to save these sights because, one, if I ever sold the gun or if somebody needed a sight, I have them. You know, nowadays I've got tons of them. So when you're doing a sight replacement, none of these parts, in this instance, I want to make sure you guys see this. There's a very small threaded screw with that 3/16 nut on it, and there's the front sight. So I save these. Then the rear. So these have to be pushed out, and there's specialty tools. Now there's guys that do this by putting it in a vise and beating on it. I'd suggest you don't do that. This is a very cool device here made by MGW. So this one is set up just for Glocks. Very simple fixture that's the slide rails drop right into. And there's a professional version, which I have also, which can be set up. This jig, it's a professional jig that a gunsmith might have, and you can use this for pretty much any slide under the sun that has sights that can be pushed. And there's a lot to that. It's not hard to use, but there's some other parts in there to set it up. You might have a slide, like say this Beretta, that doesn't have the flat surfaces that the Glock has. So you've got some fixtures in that allow you to do that. So here comes the magic with this. So we're just gonna push that sight right out. So I'm gonna just start turning. Now the shaft on here, you wanna keep it good and oiled. And this one is. You see how easy this comes out. That little plastic sight is about to just pop out in my hand. And there it is. So there's the Glock sight. Pretty cool, right? So here comes the magic part now. So we're gonna get these new Ameriglos out. These are my favorite Ameriglo sights. We'll get these old ones packed up here. What I normally do, and this is just for me, because I'm kind of a weirdo, is I throw these into the gun box that my gun came in, because I like to keep everything together, paperwork-wise and that. And if somebody ever bought the gun or whatever, I've got all the original stuff. All right, so here's my rear. There's only one way to put these in, and if you screw that up, you're in trouble. So there's a dovetail. This is how many sight makers make their sight, but you see the dovetail. See that? That dovetail fits right into the dovetail in the slide. I'm gonna get it started here. So basically, you've got to make sure that you get that lined up, which I have it lined up. And now you are dealing with a tool here that exhibits a tremendous amount of pushing force, so make sure you don't have your fingers in there. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that everything is lined up just as so before you start cranking on it, because you could mash down. There's enough force, like I said, being applied with this that you could easily destroy something. So know what you're doing. So I'm going to just start pressing this through now, using the beautiful force of a screw here. And that guy's coming straight across. And as I'm doing this, I'm looking, seeing whether or not I need to slow down so I don't go too far. Right now I'm more than good. It's a little bit of resistance here because these are machined to where they're tight. You know, there's no set screw, nothing like that. So I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can see. So I'm almost centered, and I like to get it, I found, so I'm a carpenter by trade, I can eyeball these and make them pretty darn good. Some people get out measuring devices, but you see what I did there? So I walked it through until it looked lined up. So I've got equal distance left and right. We'll put the front sight on, and once we get the front sight on there, we'll see if I need to make any more adjustments. I think I might have to take that back the way it came just a smidge, but we'll take a peek. So front sight now. So we've got a little set screw and that front sight, just like what we showed you. And there's that little screw. And what you'll see, there's a lot of machining that goes into these. So when people are like, why do they cost so much? See that oval cutout there? Can you see that, Drew? Mm-hmm. So that oval cutout, there's a matching oval right in the top of the slide. If that wasn't there, this could rotate and turn. So that's going to drop right into that oval. You see that? And now it doesn't turn. So I'm going to just put a little dab of Loctite on here. Some people are aficionados of different types of Loctite. I'm putting a little red on here. I don't foresee taking these sights out at all, and I want them good and stiff. I can get it out. So we're going to put a little Loctite on there. Guys, if you don't Loctite these, you are just asking. I don't know how many times we've been on the range with students and oops, there goes their sights while we're in the middle of training. Something really helpful when you're doing this, a nice set of forceps, because you're dealing with some little itty bitty parts, and if you've got big old goofy hands like mine, makes it not so easy to control the little screws. So I'm going to set this back into the recess, that Glock milled into the slide. I'm going to take the screw, and all I'm trying to do is just get her started there. Once I get it started, oh, I lost it. Once I get it started, then we'll use our wrench. Ah, there we go, beautiful. All right, so that 3/16. And I'm the kind of guy, I like to buy stuff once. You know, this nice little German-made wrench, 10 bucks. I don't know how many sights this is put on it. It travels to classes because chances are somebody's going to have an issue. Now, how much torque? About that much. So one of the things you're looking for is you're making sure that that sight, there is a little bit of play left and right that can happen. I'm making sure that that thing is good to go left and right. Double check that. Now I'm just gonna eyeball and I'm gonna make sure everything is where I would like her to be. How's it look to you guys? Does it look pretty good?
Looks pretty good.
There's a couple ways you can do this. Depending on what kind of tools you have. If you're interested in being hyper precise, and I don't often do this because I don't have to, but you could take a straight edge, come up the side of the slide and measure. Now if you really want to do it right, you won't measure from the edge of the sight, you'll measure like so. So you need, I gotta turn this on, you need more than one hand, or you can do this. So I'm going to come from the edge of the dovetail to the edge of the slide, and I'm going to measure that on both sides. This is there's more than one way to do this. So 0.40 on that side. Check this side. Oh man, I'm good. I'm 0.401 on this side. And on this side, I am 0.402. I think we'll leave it. So you guys see what I was doing, measuring from the edge of the slide to the side of the dovetail for the sight, the rear of the sight there, the cutout. So just measure from both sides or eyeball it. That's what I did. Make sure you let that Loctite set up before you shoot the gun. A lot of people I've watched on the range screw the stuff together and they run out and keep shooting, and 30 seconds later you're digging around in the weeds for a very expensive sight that you just bought and lost. So don't do that. Make sure that you use the right tools. There's no reason to muck up your nice slide or sights using punches and hammers. Don't be an animal. This is Mickey with CarryTrainer.com. Be well. And don't forget, you can go to Ameriglo.com and use CarryTrainer for a hefty discount. One of my favorite inexpensive Mossberg 500s. 5 in the tube, 1 in the pipe, 6 on board, plus whatever you've got in your carrier. I've got this loaded up with buckshot at home. Today we're using bird shot because we can't shoot buck on the range. We'll try it in the dark now with our Surefire. We'll try this with the Surefire EDC 1000 lumen light.